This is the house of kind of where you want to win at life.
It's the most prominent house
Where you find your success in life, but it isn't for free. You made Connie Jo cry. You do get the trophy in life.
What is your life about?
And your 10th house is magical. I am so excited about the 10th house. The 10th house is like the crown on your head. I think it's the second most important house. I cannot wait for you to know about it. Oh my God, it's going to be so exciting.
Oh my God, Mayor, I love it because the 10th house is the most prominent house. It's a house that everybody sees before they even meet us. It's their first impression of us. And you know, Mayor, the definition of the 10th house has evolved over time. I mean, it has gone from the house of the father, the house of the mother. It's been both, but now it's just one family axis as we've grown in society, as our society has grown.
This video is so exciting to do, and Connie Jo and I are continuing our series. So I hope that you've already seen our 12th house video and our 11th house video, and go with us all the way around the zodiac because you have something in the 10th house, and your 10th house is magical. Your 10th house is so powerful. I think it is the second most important house in the entire chart, second only to the ascendant and the first house, because this is going to show us our legacy. This is going to show us how are you going to be seen by society. This is sort of your societal status, if you will, your level of success in the material world. And I can't wait for Connie and I to talk more about this in a deeper way where you're going to get just a little bit more information. Connie Jo, welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me.
Me too. I love the 10th house, Meredith, because that was the house, that was a sign that's the highest in the sky when we were born. So that is the most prominent place in the chart that everyone sees before everything else. And I just love it. It's one of my favorites.
I love it too, because I also think it kind of shows us how we mature. Like, I think we grow our wisdom through the 10th house, and it shows our maturity and how we're going to express or become responsible in this world, responsible for ourselves, responsible for our legacy, responsible for the contributions that we make through our career or our calling. And also I see this as the house of self-mastery.
It's the house of status. Because you'll notice, this is a great tip, everybody, that when you have a solar return, a progress chart, or a transit of a planet coming through the 10th house, this can mean a change of status for you, like marital status, relationship status, career status. It holds all of those things, and it's a big secret, but I'm letting you in on it. You can really tell things that might happen when you look at that 10th house.
I love that. And we're going to talk about the signs through this house. After this series, Connie Jo and I, we might cross your fingers and let us know in the comments below if you want us to also talk about the planets in depth going through this house. And we can touch on that a little bit at the end of this video. So be sure to watch all the way through. Connie's right. Take a look at what sign you have on the 10th house cusp by progression and by solar return.
You know, it's called the Midheaven or the Midheaven. Both pronunciations are correct, but the true name for it is the medium coeli, which is the MC.
If you work with whole signs, you are not necessarily going to have your 10th house between the 9th and the 10th house right at the top of your chart. But we use the Placidus system at Soul Navigation, and so you will see it right there between the 9th and the 10th house. However, if you are working with whole signs, just go look and see what sign the MC is in, and then listen for that sign.
And I think it's crazy how things have changed so much. This is the parental axis, but in the old days, it was the house of the mother, believe it or not, everybody. And then people associated it more with the father, but actually it is the house that is associated by the parent that was the most dominant in your life, if there was a parent most dominant.
I love that, because we do need to think about the access, like you said. And the 4th house is very deep and intimate and personal. This house doesn't have an intimacy like that, but it does come with an authority. And I've even seen this house represent, well, I kind of say it like this, like, who's the boss of you? Who, for real, like answer that question. Who is actually the boss of you? And you might be 60 years old and still have somebody that you report into and that you care about, or you give a larger importance to than even yourself. So that's a real question. Who's the boss of you? You will find them in the 10th house.
And also, if you do have planets close to that MC, they will be the planets that people see first. Yes, the ascendant is where you meet people and know their personality, see what they actually look like. But your status in the world is the 10th house. So
absolutely.
People know if they notice things about you before they ever meet you in the 10th house.
It's sort of the stage that we stand on, and it's our place inside of society. And I think it blends our career, our calling, our legacy. And I have another video on the 10th house that's just 6 minutes long. So if you want more of this juicy fruit, you can go watch that video too. I really see this house, Connie Jo, as extraordinarily karmic.
Well, it's ruled by Capricorn. It's ruled by Saturn in the zodiac wheel. So yes, I can see that. Saturn is such a karmic planet. Capricorn is a karmic sign. I agree.
Absolutely. And it's kind of like you come with gifts and talents, right? And then you master your craft with the 6th house, but also the 10th house and even the 2nd house. You build them, you invest in them, you grow them. But in so many ways, think about your job. Just think about, your calling, your gift, and your talent, and how everything lined up to kind of get you where you're at. When you're in your truest, highest self, your highest calling, growing and building your legacy is the thing about you, the story about you that lives on past your mortal life on earth, that thing. How will you be remembered? You're going to find that was crafted out of, or that found you karmically through the 10th house.
And I absolutely agree that is where we find our calling, what we're meant to do. And if you add the 2nd house, the 6th house, and the 10th house together, I mean, gosh, y'all, that's how we get the career readings. That's how we can see through the transits what might happen in your work life, career life, your status in the world as well.
And just circling back around to what you said about the father, we're evolutionary modern astrologers. And in the modern world, the family structure has changed so much. I mean, your family, my family, everybody's family, there's a new normal to it, right? So this is just kind of a little example, but I'm my daughter's only parent, and she has Saturn in the 10th house. Well, I represent that Saturn in the 10th house, even though traditionally that's known as your father figure. So I do think this can be just who mentored you, who was your guide, who was your boss, who was your drill sergeant, who was the teacher that inspired you. This is the person who is sort of brings that provider figure, that archetype to your world, who provided for you or who tried to, right?
And it's so interesting how everything has changed so much that it has to be more all-inclusive now, and not just one parent or one person. It can actually be a group of people represented in that 10th house, like someone that was raised by a foster family or in an orphanage. It's not always just one person.
I also see the 2nd, the 6th, and the 10th. Those are the earth houses, by the way, as you don't get anything for free in these houses. Like, these are the work houses. You got to work for it, right? Like, kind of check the miracles at the door. I do think there's karma and serendipity and fate that comes through this house. But don't you think this is where you earn your status? You work your ass off to climb to the top. And there's a little bit of competitiveness in this house, because this is the house of kind of where you want to win at life, where you find your success in life, but it isn't for free.
And it's ruled by Capricorn. And so, you think of the goat going up the ladder, Capricorn, there's a lot to Capricorn, y'all, but in this particular house, it is ambitious. So that does go along with it. It's where our ambitions lie. And so in the 9th house, where we find our belief systems, know what we really care about, what we believe in, we take that to the 10th house, and that's where we do something with it.
Exactly. Like I see this house as highly disciplined and how we learn to mature, step into our wisdom. I think we're learning how to adult this way. So like whatever
Yeah.
sign you have on the cusp of this house. So you might, if you're working with our gorgeous natal charts, which by the way, if you don't have your gorgeous natal chart, please go to soulnavigation.com and get your gorgeous natal chart because they're so easy to read. But you might, like me, and I don't know if you have this, Connie, you'll have to speak to it, but I have two different signs in this house. So I need to listen to both definitions of those two different signs. One is on the cusp, and that is the ruler, even if you only have 1 degree of that particular sign, and then you have 28 degrees of the other sign. You definitely want to listen to both signs, but the one on the doorway on the MC, that's the highest point in the chart. That's your North Star. That is the guiding light to this house. And that planet and that planet's ruler is so important because it's showing you the engine of this house and how you're doing this hard work, how you're creating lasting security, how your relationship to discipline. What is that? Your relationship to ambition and success.
Exactly. And I promise you, it sounds like a puzzle, and it kind of is, but it's so interesting because when you put the rulers of the 10th house, if you go with that first one, the one on the MC, and then like Mara said, there could be 2 signs on the 10th house. Look for those rulers. Where are they at? What are they doing? It gives you all of these clues to where you're supposed to go in that 10th house. What is your social status? What is your career? What is your legacy? What is your life about?
I can kind of see this house as your true north, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we get busy doing our first house or our sun sign. There is something so big in this house. This house is so giant and so massively important. And even if people don't have a planet in there, it's important that they understand the ruling planet to this house and how that becomes this massive driver for your whole public image and social status and calling and legacy.
And I think people forget about the social status part of it, but I think that's what makes it so fascinating. You know, that people recognize, that's the first thing they recognize when they, Mary, when they see a video, they see our midheaven first. That's the most prominent thing until they get to know us and see our personality.
Do you want to reveal a little secret and say what your midheaven is in your 10th house and what you got cooking up there?
Okay. So I have Virgo on the midheaven, and Pluto and Uranus sit right on top of it together.
Oh,
that's an age revealer for a lot. I said that's an age revealer for a lot of you guys with Pluto and Uranus right there together. But astrology was my calling, but I didn't find that out until I was older, y'all. So we don't always know when I don't think we come out knowing. And if you do, you're very lucky.
Yes. Like not everybody gets to be Mozart at 5 years old, you know,
Exactly.
on the harpsichord.
Yeah, right.
I love that, Connie Jo. And that is a perfect placement to become a professional astrologer. And by the way, I just have to say, if you guys haven't gotten a reading with Connie Jo, she is so gifted and so talented. And that's why she's here with us at Soul Navigation. She's a true gem and a standout. And she is such a brilliant astrological reader. So I definitely recommend get a reading with Connie Jo at Soul Navigation. I have to ask you though, so do you only have Virgo in your 10th house?
No, Libra actually dominates part of my 10th house as well. But what's funny, Mare, is that where Mercury rules the Virgo part and Venus rules the Libra part, both of those planets are in my 2nd house. It really is all related for me. And it may not be that easy for everybody, but I promise it's a solvable puzzle. We can do it.
We could give Connie Jo a reading, but we won't do that. We won't do that. But it's very interesting how it's attached to Earth houses. Her Earth houses are in connection to one another. And that is so important to know about. Let's do this for everybody, and we'll open it up to all 12 signs. Do you want to talk about Aries on the cusp of the 10th house, or if Aries is the sign of your MC?
I would love to, because I think when you have Aries in this position, you are born to be a leader, and people see that. They can see leadership abilities in you when they've never met you. It's like if I were a headhunter for a career firm, I would go after someone with an Aries midheaven. And it's interesting how, although Mars is the ruler, it doesn't always come off so Martian, so straightforward or so active, but it does come off as a leader, as someone that knows what they're doing. There's a sense that this person might not even be so approachable because Meredith, you have Aries on the midheaven here. So I think you're pretty approachable, but maybe that's because Taurus is there as well. But I think they may come up just a tad bit, not scary, but intimidating is the word I want to use.
Yeah, I think there could be an intimidation with Aries on the 10th. One thing I'd like to say about Aries on the 10th, if this is your midheaven, almost 99.9% of the time, I see these people become entrepreneurs and work independently because they have to be the captain of their own ship. And they are great at being self-employed. They are driven. They are competitive. They are assertive. They are gutsy, trailblazing. They love the novelty. They have to learn how to cooperate with other people. I think sometimes they feel like they have to go at it alone to achieve all that they want to achieve, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. And I know it's a very go-getter, ambitious place for the midheaven. Perhaps at times it could be a little too aggressive with Mars being the ruler, depending on where that Mars is. But the aggressiveness can serve you well if you're a business owner forging your way through new territory. But as Meredith said, it might hold you back a little bit if you don't learn to play well with others.
Exactly. And one of the things is that I think a person like this needs constant adventures, new challenges. There is so much courage with this placement.
Yeah.
Like there is this initiative and drive, and they're fueled by passion. So if you do actually have Aries on the MC, I have to tell you that you've got to work on creating a career, a calling, a legacy, or a giant hobby, if it's not a career, that creates massive passion, that you want to jump out of bed and strap on your Superman cape and go and do your Superman or Superwoman job every single minute of the day. And you just kind of need an obsessive passion to keep yourself motivated. That's how I see this 10th house. It's really, really, really strong.
And I think also the competitive nature of the house. I mean, what if you invented video games or you did something competitive sports? There's all kinds of things that I think would really lend itself to that Mars midheaven, firefighter, police officer. You know, Meredith's right. They are brave. They are courageous. I've never met someone that had a load of Aries in their chart that wasn't ready to jump in and save the day at a moment's notice.
I love that. And I do think they need new challenges that keep them on their toes constantly, you know?
Yeah.
But it does really matter where your Mars is. So if this is your placement by solar return or progress chart or in your natal chart, you really look to your Mars and see what house your Mars is in and see what your Mars is doing in order to truly understand this placement. So my Mars is in Libra in the third house. And so it puts a Venetian spin on it, right? And it's truly different. Venetian, it kind of puts on a Libra Gemini spin. There's a twist to it. So you really do have to know, like if you have Mars in Leo here, that's going to express itself totally different.
Let's say you have Mars in the fifth house. This is where I'm thinking about someone that is amazing at sports or anything in a competitive nature that you would do with other people, even if it's video games or one of those house shows where you're trying to do the house the best, especially if you have the Venusian part of it in there as well. You know, it could all fit together. Y'all, it all fits together, I promise.
Mars in the fifth is really colorful. So I like how you said, like designing and building a house in competitive way. And competitive doesn't always mean cruel. They just want to be the best at what they can be, right? They want to bring their best effort, best energy. Aries really hates failing. Do we have any Aries out there?
They bring their A game because they A for Aries. They do hate failing.
I love that.
They bring their best effort. They really do.
Okay, let's talk about Taurus. So I think with Taurus here, there's a tenacity, a stick-to-itiveness. I think that they strive for beauty, peace, harmony, stability. And I think they try to make the most out of their resources. I'll also say they definitely desire great success. It comes with a fortitude, a determination, and a little bit more of a quiet strength than the Aries. And I think that this placement can bring a tremendous amount of abundance, both financial abundance and abundance in love, because it is ruled by Venus, but only if the person truly believes, because you're working with Venus. So it's a little bit more gentle than the Mars.
Well, I think that Taurus wants, what they want is security in whatever form that may take for them, whether it's financial, whether it's with their career, their family, their legacy. They want it to be secure. So they're willing to work just as hard as the Aries, but you're right, they do it in a very different way, because I think their motives overall are different. Aries it's the adventure, it's the win. It's with Taurus, it's the security.
I remember when I first met you and I was looking for astrologers to become readers through soul navigation. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't work with just, everybody. Is I remember I said, I primarily want an exchange in love. And then I really try to base my whole business on love and loving other people and allowing people to fall in love with themselves, holding space for love. And I believe payment in love is far greater than actual currency. Now, nobody wants to be poor and I have to be able to pay my bills. But getting rich in love is just so exciting to me. It is truly my currency.
Money comes and goes. It does. And we can't take it with us. But I'm pretty certain that karmically, because this is a house of karma, that love is probably the most important part of not taking more karma with us in the next lifetime.
Also, I think that people who have Taurus on the midheaven or Taurus, right there on the cusp, and if you have just even a little bit of Taurus in your chart, you are drawn to Venetian things. You are drawn to beauty. You are drawn to the arts. You might be an artist. You might appreciate the arts. And it's so interesting because one of my earliest jobs was I ran a ballet company. I also worked at the opera, and then I was the marketing director at a theater company, and I was an arts major in college, drama, dance, and fine art. And so this was working inside of me with Taurus on the midheaven, far before I even knew astrology. It just was this gravitational pull towards the arts. It's magical how accurate it really is. So if you have Taurus here, I want to know, were you drawn to the arts? Were you drawn to love, peace, harmony, women, beauty? I love working in female industries. I don't mind working with men, but I'm not all butch. I'm not going to be great at the Firefighters Association. I'm going to be great at the ballet.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Meredith, this would also lend itself to being a great chef, working with food, even being a food artist, because I find that most Taurians, they love food, they like to eat, but they have such amazing taste that they make great chefs, wine tasters, there's so many things that Venus covers that you could go after with Taurus as your midheaven.
That's like my motto, extra butter with my wine, please.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Those are two of my favorite things, Connie Jo. You either know me really well or you're reading up on your Taurus midheaven.
No, I just know a lot of Taurus.
Yeah. I want to be really serious for just 1 second about this house, because there's a massive creativity inside of somebody who has Taurus on the midheaven. They could also be good financial managers, because Tauruses are usually good with money. But I just don't want the Taurus. This is what can go wrong with it. We talked a little bit about Aries and what can go wrong with Aries if they don't learn how to cooperate. But with Taurus, they can actually need and want the financial security so badly, because that's how they feel safe, that they actually exchange their creativity for the golden handcuffs to do some regular, boring, routine job that doesn't fire up their soul, or in this case, their love bucket. Love is so important for Taurus on the Midheaven. I'm telling you right now, I'm challenging you all right now to get your career, get your legacy wrapped around doing something that you love. Love is the name of the game with this placement.
Absolutely.
Don't sell out for the golden handcuffs.
I've never heard it put like that, but that's the perfect way to put it.
Okay, Connie Jo, you want to talk about Gemini?
I think when we see Gemini on the midheaven, the first thing we think, social butterfly, communicator. You know, they are ruled by Mercury. They're curious. They're intelligent. They want to know everything about everything. And they're fun to be around because they actually enjoy knowing people, getting to know them. So doing something, if you have Gemini here, this is a good place for you to work with people. They're not like Aries where they can go it alone. Gemini, midheaven, they want to be around other people. They want to communicate. They want to find out more about you. Genuinely, they do. Because they're that curious. They have that innate curiosity. They're great with technology.
I also think these people have like a mobility about them, right? Like they need this versatility. And I see that they aren't probably going to do one thing for a super long time. I always think of Gemini as the mosaic. And so I think they're going to collect little pieces. They might become a brilliant communicator, but maybe they're a playwright or a songwriter or a novelist, or they work in journalism in some way, and they might trade out their skills or even freelance. Because I think there's a lot of desire to multitask, do different things. They're massively brilliant and curious. And I think they like to change locations, change jobs, change train tracks a lot.
Well, yeah, because they get bored. They do. And it is because of their intellect. It's like they want something to keep them stimulated all the time. Gemini is ruled by the twins. So it's interesting because you might see them doing something full force, communicating, writing a book. They're doing marketing for a marketing firm. And then the next day you turn around and they've decided they want to go into acting and dance, and they would be good at any of it.
And I also think that they make brilliant networkers. They like working with different people. They're super open-minded. They're really flexible. And I also think Gemini here, a little bit like Pisces, Connie Jo, they reinvent themselves,
Yeah.
I think they should hang their hat on a job. Well, it depends where Mercury is. If Mercury is in the 8th house, they might be a researcher. So they're going to use their mind and work with probably words or communication in some way, or their hands. They oftentimes work with their hands. They would be a great mechanic, like an airplane mechanic or NASA mechanic, or even, just an auto mechanic. Yeah, they'd be really good at that.
The danger with this sign is maybe not the danger, but the downfall of this sign on the midheaven is not knowing what to do, because you want to do so many different things and your mind is going in so many different directions, and you really do. You want to do it all, and it's hard to focus. I think focus is the word that I would use, that you need. That's what you need when you're a Gemini midheaven.
That is perfect. I also think that they get too busy. And if they have a massive job, they sometimes don't know where to start. And they don't, it's just they're overwhelmed. And there could be even too much flexibility and adaptability. So it's hard to really structure something. And so you really want to look to Mercury and see what this is doing. If Mercury's in the 5th house, you're probably massively creative. If it's in the 6th house, you are probably a communicator that is so bright and so brilliant. You're on just freakish steroids around your mental capacity.
But Gemini here, these people you can get to know easily. It's there's nothing standoffish about them. That they actually like people for the most part. They're social. They actually want to get to know you. I think that's special about them.
I want to challenge everybody to tell us, what sign do you have on the Midheaven? And then what is your calling? And is your calling also, are you one of those fortunate souls where it also gets to be your career? Because your calling isn't always your career, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to jump into Cancer. If you've got Cancer in the Midheaven, Cancer is in its opposite house. So it can be a little bit uncomfortable because Cancer is very nurturing and sensitive, and it brings in a lot of emotions and family and roots and children. These people have been so highly influenced by their family, and their mom can actually be very prominent in the world with this position. And this person's career choice, I see, is oftentimes influenced by what the family expects of you, what the family wants of you, what the family has asked of you, or just even a direct, I'm taking over the family business. I also think this can include, like Taurus, food, homes, real estate, building, working with children, or psychology, connecting deeply into other people. Really and truly, I would say the currency for this person is to nurture, to take care of.
Where is your moon? I mean, what house is your moon in? What sign is your moon in? And this would give you the second clue to what you might want to do with your life, what is so important to you. And I think with Cancer here, they may be a little more difficult to get to know. They're a little mysterious because the moon moves quickly through the signs and it fluctuates. And I think it lends to a little bit of mystery, maybe not like Scorpio mystery, but you're not quite sure what you're going to get with that Cancer midheaven.
Yes. And I see these people as real caretakers. They could be a great social worker. They like a lot of security. So they could work with government organizations that are there to help people, rehabilitate people, or societies, or sects of societies, or sociology in some way, or also fighting for women in some way. Like
that's what I was going to say.
You're going to say that? Yeah. Like a domestic shelter, a safe place, being a safe place for others.
Don't get us wrong. They want to make money at what they're doing as well, but they're more than likely to do it in a humanitarian way where it is about nurturing people in some form.
What do you think is hard about having Cancer on the Midheaven?
I think you already said it, that because it's directly opposite where Cancer is at home, it's hard to be seen, because when you've got Cancer up at the very top, your nurturing side is not always the side that you want everybody to see first. Cancer is ruled by the crowd. They don't want to be scared off. They're going to run back in their shell. So I think it's hard to be seen in that placement.
Cancer is so private, and they crave such intimacy that they don't tell you about or show you. And this is in the most public house.
Mm-hmm.
And so they feel shy in this big world, but they're dying to be really important and helpful in your life. You've got to go see, is your moon a shy moon, or is your moon an outgoing moon?
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter has this placement, and she was so painfully shy. Like so unbearably shy. Now, Leo holds most of the house, but the Midheaven is Cancer. And then her moon is so shy with Scorpio as her moon sign in the second house, more shyness, right? So it's like unbearable in a way to be a leader, but with all the Leo there. So you really have to mix the houses with your two signs. And if you work with Placidus, you probably do have two different signs there.
Yeah.
She's just dying for someone to ask for the Leo to pop out. But that Cancer ruled by a Scorpio moon is just like, I feel so vulnerable on this stage at my retreat, in my workshop in retreat here in May, which I loved. I told her that she was in charge, because she has a beautiful voice. She was in charge of the karaoke party, and she had to get it started. And she was like, Mom, come on. Oh, Mom. I was like, why? You have the best voice. And she was like, Mom. But so I just hope that if you have this placement, somebody is also seeing the Leo in this house, because it's very likely that you have Leo in this house too, if Cancer is on your Midheaven. And she got up there and she sang the song, We Are Family, and she killed it.
I love it. That's perfect.
It was so damn good, but you want people who will push the Leo out a little bit if you also have Leo in there. Don't just buy into the Cancer's desire to be behind the scenes, because it's not true.
And if you can get a Cancer to come out of their shell anyway, once that you draw them out, they're not so shy anymore. And honestly, people with big Cancer placements in their chart are some of the funniest people I know.
That is so true. And if you can get a Cancer out of the shell, you do get the trophy in life. Okay, exactly. Leo, you go for it.
Leo does want to be seen. You can't help but notice a Leo, especially on the midheaven. You are going to notice them no matter what. And you're probably not only going to notice them because they have luxurious hair or they look strikingly handsome or beautiful, but you're going to notice them because they stand out. There is a charisma about that placement that's hard to miss. Of course, actors, singers, all of those, and models, all of those things. But Leos are also incredibly loyal. If I had if I could have a personal shopper and just that knew me, I would want a Leo. Somehow, a Leo in the midheaven would be great. They have the best taste. They're tasteful, they're loyal, they're fighters. They're also family oriented. I mean, Leo rules the heart. They love to be in love. I think all of this shows because Leo isn't afraid to show off and show out. They're not. So you can see this on that midheaven.
And I think there is a tremendous force with this placement where they are going to find success and they are determined to be recognized for their achievements and their accomplishments. And they want the awards. They want the Oscar, they want the Tony, they want the Grammy of their industry, and not for free. They want their own craft to hold the merit to win that award, right?
Absolutely. And of course, Leo's ruled by the sun. So wherever the sun is in your chart is going to hold such importance to how you want to use your midheaven, how you want to be seen, how you want to be known. I've got to say one thing about this placement, they're usually striking. There's something charismatic, striking about someone that has the Leo midheaven. They're noticeable.
Connie Jo, this represents sort of Hollywood, right? This is very Hollywood, if we had to stereotype it. And I also think they like jobs that create a sense of fun and creativity that resonates with themselves, but also others. They're very other oriented.
I think they would also be amazing with children. The fifth house, where Leo should be in the zodiac rules children. So they might be an advocate for children, and they would be amazing at it because they would stand up, stand out, just like any Leo would, but they would use that charisma to help other people.
Yes. And they're also kind of not really built for the mundane. So, I was going to say, I want to challenge people to tell us if you have this placement and if there's a real enthusiasm in your life around your career, your calling, and what you're doing to build your legacy. I also want to ask a real honest question because I oftentimes see this and I see that these people were really invested in and seen and cultivated by their families, usually by their father, but oftentimes by their mother too. But they were deeply invested in whoever raised them or produced security for them. They poured it into their child. I oftentimes see this. So I want to know if that's true for a lot of the listeners, if they felt invested in by their family, by their authority figure, by their father. You know who has this placement? Mm-hmm. Robin Williams has this placement. And I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I do too. But Mary, let's flip it. What if you have this placement and you were not invested in? I mean, that would be just ego shattering.
Yes.
It's so hurtful if you have Leo as your midheaven and felt like you weren't seen.
Yes.
I think that would be hard.
Very soul crushing, as you say. But I think what happens is Leos are not going to crumble easily. It's going to
Yeah.
take, a seismic earthquake to topple a Leo and for a Leo to just be flatline in life. I mean, it really, really is. I'm not saying they're not human and it won't happen, but I think what happens then, and I'm asking for comments on this. I think what happens is the Leo person, because the sun rules this house, they start to rely on themselves and they become self-made.
I would agree with that 100%.
What's hard about Leo on the Midheaven? I think it's ego.
Kind of what I just said. If you're not seen being overly dramatic to be seen.
Oh, yes, exactly. Like that's what I kind of meant by ego, where your ego starts to run the show because you want to be seen so badly that you can kind of sell out. Right?
Yeah.
You can sell out for fame. You can sell out for fortune. You can sell out for likes. You can sell out for affirmation.
Yeah.
And then you feel so empty and so vacant. And then you have to fill it up with probably something not very good. That can be very, very painful. Okay, Virgo, really pragmatic here. And their career, their legacy, I think they want to be greatly respected for. They're motivated by strong work ethics. But I'm going to tell you a little something here that most people don't say about Virgo that I think really does happen, especially when it's in the 10th house. While they do have, I think, the strongest work ethic that there is, they are all about self-mastery. They do not want to overpromise and underdeliver. So they are about fine-tuning and perfecting whatever their craft is before they put it out there in the world. And that's why their work ethic, their integrity is so high. I love, love, love Virgo on the 10th house, in the 10th house, on the Midheaven, because for me, I feel like I can trust these people to be who they say they're going to be. There's not a lot of falseness here. And their legacy is going to be cultivated on their self-mastery, the little investments that they have made over a long period of time to become who they say they wanted to be. And so there is a lot of altruistic beauty when you have Virgo on the Midheaven. And also you're working with somebody who is smart and a good communicator. And so if there are issues or if there are problems, they have the critic's eye. So oftentimes they will bring that to the attention. They'll bring that to their own craft and switch it and change it and want to grow. And they'll also bring that to the team. So they oftentimes, I think, make things better. They're the person in the job who is there to improve things or enhance things or take things to the next level or make things better.
That almost made me cry a little bit because I never think about this, but it's true. I think Virgo in the Midheaven, really, they do want to master their own craft, and they would feel embarrassed if they screwed something up or messed somebody else up. They truly, it really is a do no harm placement. They don't want to hurt anybody else doing what they're doing. And they have great organizational skills, especially at work. I'm not saying I'm organized everywhere, but most of the time in my work life, I've been pretty organized and able to get things done as a Virgo Midheaven. But what you said is true. They want to get it right.
You know, you did something right when you made Connie Joe cry. That's so cute. Well, I also think, Connie Joe, these people like their currency. I like to talk about what's your currency, right? Like, what do you want to get paid in? And I think these people love supporting and helping the team, the group, the effort, the cause, or even the boss. Like you talked about, if you had a personal shopper, you'd want a Leo. Hell, if I had a personal shopper, I want it to be a gosh darn Virgo, please. Be a Virgo, because I asked for English cucumbers. I did not ask for cucumbers. Know the difference.
Oh, and I do, of course. No, I can see that because Virgo on the Midheaven really does want to get it right. And of course, where your Mercury is located is everything. But they like to have new information. And I'll be quite honest, one reason I love astrology so much is because it's a rabbit hole I can't stop going down. It's like there's always something different to learn. You never know it all. Never. You always get to keep learning. So I think Virgos like to learn new things, but they want to do it well. They don't want to half-ass it.
Yes, exactly. That's why they're their word and they have a strong work ethic. And also, I think they make incredible healers, mentors,
Oh, yeah.
and even counselors. I even think they would be a good project manager or camp counselor. And there's a pragmatism to these people. Super bright, super smart, constantly learning. And, I looked up who had Virgo, on the Midheaven that was famous. And I discovered that Thomas Edison had this placement. And here he is inventing, constantly.
Yeah.
This person needs a smart job. Have you had smart jobs your whole life?
I've had some jobs where I've been a server before, but most jobs, I'm not kidding, Meredith, I've been thrown into them and basically they said, figure it out. And I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
take on Libra.
Oh, I love Libra. Libra is so harmonious and, being ruled by Venus, really and truly, Libra wants world peace. But I will say this, Saturn is at home in Libra. And the reason that is because as beautiful, harmonious, peaceful, loving as Libra is, they're also very fair. I say Libra on the midheaven, I think you could be a judge. You could be a lawyer. It's like I see the scales of justice, they're balancing so easy. And of course, ruled by Venus, all of the Venusian things factor in. Probably if you have Libra on the midheaven, you're probably beautiful, you're good looking. You're noticeable in a different way from Leo, or it could be the same, but you're still noticeable. People see you as good looking for the most part. And, you may be in a field where you work with beauty somehow. You could be a plastic surgeon or, any of the beauty fields would work there.
Absolutely. I also think they'd make a great juror too, anything in the law profession, even somebody who is, what's the guy who is the guard, that has to be ready. I even think Libra could do that job too, because they can see all sides.
The bailiff. The bailiff.
Yeah, the bailiff. Because they do like to protect. They like relationships. Okay, so what I would say, I would just add one little thing here, and that is God, do not underestimate a person who has Libra on the midheaven, because they have the highest EQ/IQ out of anybody.
Yes,
they are so friggin' smart, and they have a talent for emotionally understanding and solving problems. So that's why I said they'd be a good bailiff, because they can see the problem. They can see the emotional problem rising up. They can read people's EQ. They have this high intuition and this high intelligence. And so they're really, really good problem solvers. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
No, I was just going to say, because I think this sign more than any sign can balance the masculine and the feminine and understand them both. And it's like a good counselor, marriage counselor, any of those things would be so amazing for this placement. Because they have this, like you said, emotional IQ that understands both sides.
Absolutely. And I think they do great in jobs that relationship is important. So that could be like sales, but that could be marriage counseling.
Yeah.
Working with another person. They're usually great in teams. And I find that they don't suffocate you. They're the kind of teammate that lets you take credit, and they don't try to micromanage.
Right.
And they're not completely hands off either.
Great. And let's don't forget, this is in opposition of Aries. This is a cardinal sign. They start things. So don't think that a Libra won't be a go-getter, because they will. They'll just do it in a very different way than the Aries will. They might want to work in a team. They might want to incorporate other people into the group rather than going it by themselves. But don't have no doubt, they start things. They will, start their own business.
Absolutely. I love how you said this is a cardinal sign, and they go after what they want. They just, their resources, people. With Scorpio on the 10th house cusp, I think this is, just to be honest, I think this is the most cutthroat, and they have such a huge desire for success. When I say cutthroat, I mean they will die trying to win whatever it is they want to win. They usually have, let me just be honest with you, an obstacle that they do have to overcome in order to find success. And that's why they have this steely will and grit and tenacity. And they are so capable of knocking down barriers and walls that try to stop them in their tracks. I do think they can get overworked. Because I think they can become really obsessive about their craft, their talent, their cause, their mission. They are so over dedicated, loyal, and committed to whatever it is they're doing. And they have a laser focus. I think they make phenomenal detectives, as every book says, right? But I also think they really work fantastic in jobs that have to do with the suffering or with loss or with death or divorce or dying, suffering, challenges, helping people overcome challenges, doing hard things. You know, that Glennon Doyle's podcast that says we can do hard things. That's Scorpio on the 10th house. They like to bring new beginnings, new starts, and new perceptions and new ways of being into work because they are the transformer. Now, here's one idea. They're fantastic with business and money and investment, but I knew a person who had this placement, and his job was to turn dying businesses around into turnkey operations. So he would go in, fix the whole business up, and literally just hand the new person the key. And he would transition the dying business, sell it off to another person, renovate it, get all systems going, and hand the key over. And that's what his job was. I thought it was phenomenal. It's like, gosh, we need Scorpio Midheaven people to save America's malls. Shopping.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And don't forget, with Scorpio in the midheaven, though, I think they're very mysterious. There's something kind of romantic about them because you can't figure them out, which is why they are great detectives, which is why great internet spies. You know, they can take on any of that underworld scorpionic work and make it work for them and make money for them. Believe me, they want to make money as well.
Yeah, they really, really are good at making a lot of money and investing their money their money wisely. And they usually get people to invest in them. So if you do have this placement, I want to know, what is your calling?
Yeah.
And can you relate to this? I do think that they are exactly what you said, the strong, silent advocate.
Yeah.
And they can even work behind the scenes in some way. They don't need to be out in front. You really need to look at where Pluto is at your chart. If you haven't watched my Pluto playlist, please go watch it, because Pluto is running this house. Mars is the traditional ruler, and Pluto is the modern ruler, but Pluto represents your psychological wound. And so they're really good at working with psychology, and they're deep. They could even work in the occult. Like, are you a Reiki healer? Are you working with Reiki? Are you working with a modality that is the world of the occult?
They could also work in a sexual field and do really well with that. Now, I'm not saying porn star, although they could be, but what I'm saying is work with sexually abused children, work as a counselor, a sexual counselor, work as a sexual healer in some way, because they're not embarrassed and they're going to go in there and do what it takes to bring healing in whatever field that they choose.
Absolutely. This could be your gynecologist too.
Yeah.
Or your oncologist. Let's keep going. Sagittarius. Connie Jo, do you want to talk about Sagittarius?
The adventurer. I mean, Sagittarius on that 10th house, we have someone that loves adventure. They love other languages. They love to be expansive. They love to be optimistic. They're the ones that will get the crowd going. I see a politician on the horizon sometimes when I see Sagittarius in that 10th house, because they're not afraid to go out there and shout out their belief system. They love other cultures for the most part and are all inclusive. Other cultures, other countries. That is why they make great politicians, also great lawyers, but they're optimistic, expansive. They're ruled by Jupiter, and they want to have an adventure. They usually do. And this could be a flight attendant, a pilot, anyone. This could be the person, that the adrenaline rush junkie that does skydiving and all of this stuff just because they want to. Do they care that much about money? Well, yeah, but it's not the most important thing to them. Honestly, it's the adventure. It's having that adrenaline rush, that good time. If you buy something for a Sagittarius midheaven, buy them a vacation or a skiing trip or a trip down the rapids or something, because they that is what they want. Smart and, like I said, very all-inclusive, I think.
And I also think that they have such big dreams and such big wishes and such a big vision of themselves that they can get a little bit overwhelmed with what exactly it is that they crave doing. Yeah. And they might not be able to totally align their energy with the dream that they hold inside of themselves. And so this can be a little bit painful if they're not actually actualizing this largeness inside of them. These people are usually larger than life. And I think they're this gargantuan storyteller. They have a massive story to tell, and they will tell it through, like you said, being a great athlete, being on stage in some way, traveling the world, being an anthropologist, a philosopher, a
philosopher,
writer, yes, a preacher, teacher. They also oftentimes find that they are in higher education in some way.
Yeah.
And, I looked up a person who I was like, who has this placement? I want to know. Jupiter is really, really, really important. You got to know what your Jupiter is doing in order to understand what's your big story. And I found out that Michael Jackson has this. And so you're thinking, how does that fit? A songwriter, toured the world, and big
larger than life.
Larger than life, right? And he really was. But what was so interesting, Connie Jo, was where his Jupiter is. His Jupiter is conjunct Neptune in the 8th house.
Oh, wow.
And so his work, I think it just took him to, Neverland.
Yes, absolutely.
And one other thing, I think the problem with this is they can be way too busy. Like, this is a different kind of workaholic. This is a workaholic that has their fingers in 25 different honeypots. And these honeypots all have giant visions. Like, I'm going to save the world, and then I'm going to write my documentary, then I'm going to quest for the truth, and then I'm going to be the Pope, and then I'm going to be a Buddhist monk, and then I'm going to be, and they actually really feel all this.
Yes. And I think what you said about philosophy, preaching, higher learning, all of those things, they're so great at it because they truly want to learn more. It's a little different from the mercurial way of learning more. It's like they want to learn everything about everything. In philosophy, they would bore easy as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's hard to be involved with somebody who has Sagittarius on the midheaven, because I'm sorry, their passion and their calling is probably going to be their first great love, and then you'll be the second.
Yeah.
Okay, Capricorn. Let's talk about Capricorn. They're ambitious. They're structured. They are goal-oriented. They are not afraid of long-term plans. They usually desire big achievements and reach them. There is a prestige. There's a comfortability here. If you have this, you're Aries rising and you have the natural zodiacal wheel. And this is usually a very, very, very powerful placement. And it's usually a very strong, like, you'll see this, there's something where you probably feel extraordinarily comfortable in your career, calling, or craft, or you just have a deep knowing about yourself that you are going to be successful. Like, I know I'm going to be successful with this placement. There's a little bit of a confidence here. Now, if you don't have that, sometimes, as Connie Jo has talked about Capricorn develops themselves and their craft, their mastery, their calling, their legacy, if you will, a little bit later in life. So don't get discouraged. You might have to have your Saturn return before this house really lights up.
Yeah, but I think self-assurance is something that this placement usually has. They know they're going to get there. Even if it is later in life, they know they're going to get there. But I always tell people this, that don't forget that the symbol for Capricorn is not just the goat, but it's the sea goat. And so they are able to dip their tails in the waters of emotions in order to get to where they're going. And it's not always just about them or just their ambition, but Capricorns have a genuine desire to help others go with them. they want everybody to succeed, believe it or not. They'll kind of drag you along with them if you're not willing to go. But they make great CEOs, all of the O's, the CFO, CEOs, all of those. They're great at it.
Yeah, they're born to be the president of their life, of their calling, the chief, the president, the ruler, the leader, the administrator, right? The governor. So you're absolutely right. And I think that their currency is respect and responsibility. They want to be respected. And truthfully, they like the responsibility. They want the responsibility. They want to grow something and build something out of a desire for security for themselves. And like you said, the people that they love. They're not just down there at the office late at night working, becoming a success just to become a success. They're doing that to protect you, whoever you are in their life, right? Right.
Because this is on that family axis. It's just at the other end. So you're right. They're not at the office all night or wherever they are, whatever they endeavor to do. I agree with you. They want respect. And they just want to do well at whatever they do. Would they make a great CEO? Absolutely. Are they working for their family? Absolutely. They just do it in a very different way than Cancer does.
I also think when you meet a 10th house Capricorn person, there is something sort of, I don't want to say regal, but I want to say proud and intimidating. You know that you're in the presence of somebody who is kind of an alpha and kind of on top. And if they're not, they're acting like they are because they've got it inside of them. It just hasn't been manifested yet. They're intimidating. And what I would say for a little trick or tip with that Capricorn 10th house person is bust through their facade, like break through it, like get them to be casual with you because they're not very casual. They're kind of stern, a little bit strict, a little bit hard, a little bit like, I mean business, and try to get them to drop their wall a little bit and get into that heart space because, oh my God, if you can do that, ding, ding, ding. I mean, you are the winner in their world if you can get them to just relax and be comfortable with you. And then they will probably hire you and you'll be on their A train, right?
Right. And as hard as a Capricorn will work, I tell you, they will play just as hard because they need that release. After they have worked so hard, they play just as much. Capricorns are funny too. It's funny to me that the Cancers and Capricorns, that axis, they have that dry humor, but they're actually hilarious to be around.
You have to remember that if you have Capricorn there, you might also have Aquarius, which could lighten it up a little bit or make you a little bit unique or different. So you got to blend it. And so let's talk about Aquarius.
Here comes the rebel. I mean, is this person going to do anything in a normal way? No, they would not have that for anything. What they value the most is being unique, being able to do things different. Can I name a lot of professions that might live here? No, because they are all so different. This person isn't going to go with the flow. It's ruled by Uranus, and the ancient ruler was Saturn. So it does rule astrology, which I think is really fun, but astrology can go off 1,000 different directions too. There's even astrological rebels out there, believe it or not. But this person is unique. They are fun. They may speak a language that is completely different than what you understand because they're only light years ahead of you, probably. They're telling you things that probably will happen 20 years from now. They're very, very smart, innovative. They're a rebel with a cause because they're loving. They do have the ability to hold other people, hold their feelings at bay while they get to where they want to go. Does that mean they don't have feelings? No, they have all kinds of feelings. It's just that they don't let their feelings get in the way of what they want to do.
That is so true. And I do think that it's a really interesting placement. So think about this, because this is kind of quirky. They are so highly individualized, so highly inventive, and so highly unique. Yeah. But they like working with people. So they like being this independent, unique, individuated person who works inside of teams of people or with people. So it's really interesting. I also think they're great communicators. They like solving problems and they love being fair and they are so open-minded. So any job that requires a super open mind, maybe the person who invented Alcoholics Anonymous. That's a great example. So unique. It was cutting edge. It was innovative and inventive, but it was a group or an organization that brought people together. Right. That's like, so what is a unique thing that can bring a group together? Like maybe the person who thought of Greenpeace. I don't know.
The person that thought of social media, thought of the internet,
I wonder where Mark Zuckerberg's placement is.
I do too.
Really interesting. But they do not like being bossed around and they will not be owned and they want freedom. They need a job that gives them freedom. The best kind of job is, we trust you with this. You've got this. Right.
That is so true.
And they need to kind of carve out their own role. You make up your job title but they're not necessarily entrepreneurs because they do need, they're a fixed sign. They do kind of need some structure. They just want to have freedom inside the structure. It's like, I see it as the bowling alley with the guardrails up. Like I'm supposed to get this ball down and it's supposed to hit the pins. But I need some little bit of there has to be fixity to it a little bit.
Well, I agree. And, Saturn was the ancient ruler as well. So the structure kind of goes with it, but they don't want to be micromanaged at all. So when they can find that place where there's structure, but they can still do kind of their own thing, it's kind of like their sweet spot.
I also think they do have a passion for humanity and they like a job that creates social change or change for people. I think they like to improve things, innovate things, make things better. It's a different kind of creativity, right? And they also have such an uncanny success with the thing that you said. They're very easy to work with, I find, because they don't take things personally.
Yeah, agreed.
So they could do a job where everybody else there gets their feelings hurt, but they're like thinking it's just the nature of the business.
Yeah, I mean, their innovation in itself, I think, gives them that ability because they're able to see things for exactly what they are without letting their emotions get in the way. And that's a real gift. That's that Uranian gift they have of being able to do that. Not everybody has that gift.
They do see like the higher purpose and they have their eye. They kind of come from that higher mind where they see the mission of the whole project or event or goal, right? Rather than just down deep in the weeds of their personal feelings. Yeah. Well, they're very refreshing that way. Sorry, Connie.
Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So that makes a lot of sense. They're able to lift themselves above the details and kind of see the end result, which is hard to do when ruled by Mercury.
Absolutely. I think the downfall to this is sometimes they can't connect as intimately. So sometimes they're too hands off as a boss, or they're not willing to go into the emotional side of their employee's problem. Like they're the nice person who doesn't get their hands in the muck of the personal side of the job. And I think they can unknowingly hurt people's feelings because it seems like they don't care about the individual's issue or challenge or problem because they have in their mind, just get over it. Just get over it. Get past it. Get over it. I just want to tell everyone I'm trying to reach 100,000 subscribers. We're almost there, but I need 5 additional subscribers a day to meet my goal by the end of the year. So I hope you will like, comment, and subscribe to this channel and also consider becoming a member so you can learn with me behind the scenes and you'll get access to all of my members only videos. And we prioritize the comments for our members. So do leave us a comment. We can't answer every single one, but we do prioritize our members. Okay, Pisces, let's talk about that. I can see somebody who has Pisces on the 10th house working with healing others, working with fantasy-based jobs or dreams, using their intuition. Their intuition is so massive here. There's an artistic ability, there's a mysterious, magical ability, a psychic ability, but mostly I think their currency is compassion. So they really want a job that holds space for other people, helps other people heal. And they usually are attracted to compassionate fields, jobs that require support, nurture, care, love, compassion inside their jobs. And I think if they could get paid to love, that's what they would do for a living.
Oh.
So they're really phenomenal at loving other people, helping other people heal their wounds, solve their problems, or just being nurtured to come back to life. I think they pick jobs that involve relationships and connecting to other people. And also they love the arts, film, Broadway, music, dance, singing, ballet, anything that is really artistic, anything that they can lose themselves in their work.
Yeah.
So I want to challenge, if you have Pisces on the Midheaven, I want to challenge you to find a calling, build your legacy, grow your legacy with a job, a career, a hobby that is so massive. You just absolutely fall into it with every cell in your body, and you can lose yourself in the art of the job or the art of your calling.
You know, what's interesting is, of course, Pisces is ruled by Neptune and the ancient ruler being Jupiter, which is all expansive. But Neptune there's no boundaries, y'all. It's that open sea water where there are no boundaries. Think about that being the first thing people see about you. Could that be kind of, nope, this person has no boundaries? But it could be quite beautiful. You know, you could be the person that people come to, that they're drawn to because they see that you're all accepting. It's kind of like Sagittarius being so inclusive. There's this loving nature about having Pisces on the midheaven that people can see and they're drawn to it.
I think this is a really beautiful placement, but these people could feel kind of undefined, like their career, their calling is undefined. They are the chameleon. They can do so many things. I think this is a great drag queen. I do.
Yeah.
Like a chameleon dressing up and becoming like an alter identity, you know, and a performer of some sort. But you might also be a little bit of a lost soul. Like you don't know exactly, there's not a clear cut path to how you're going to do the thing you want to do. Like, oh, I want to be a shaman. Okay, well, how do you do that? How do I start, you know, on that career path?
Yeah.
So there's a nebulous quality to how am I going to do this thing? And they could also be people that get discovered, you know, like you're sitting there having, I don't know, an ice cream cone and you're just like discovered. Like, do you want to be a model? But you have to be careful with that stuff because there's so much scammers these days and there's a gullibility and a lovability.
There is. It's that Neptunian. Haven't you noticed that people that have a lot of Pisces or Neptune in the chart, there's this Neptunian look to them. I can't explain it. It's just like they're like Mia Farrow, I think, had a lot of Pisces. There's an ethereal quality to them. I love that. And I'm wondering if you do have if you do have Pisces on the midheaven, what do you do for a living? And then what do you want to do? And please tell me this. Please, if you have Pisces on the midheaven, did I say that? That's what I meant to say. If you have Pisces on the midheaven, please tell me that you are not, I don't know, working in the Costco warehouse sorting socks. And if you are, do you get to listen to your earbuds and listen to your favorite music? Because that's the only thing that would get you through that job, right? Like you can do a mundane job if you're doing your, I don't know, your dream on the side. Not every Pisces midheaven gets paid for their work. So if you are doing sort of this dead end commercial type of job that is boring and mundane and just sort of killing your soul, are you also doing your craft and your artistry or your healing work over here? Like, is your life piecemealed? Because I wouldn't be surprised if it is, because, right, it's the two fish swimming in two different directions. Exactly.
Or do you get to do your whole calling as your career? And what the hell is it? We want to know.
And music is so important to Pisces. There's something to do with the sirens of Neptune. And I don't know what it is, but music just seems to be so important. There's so many musicians with Pisces that is prominent in their chart. So I think you said exactly the right thing. Even if you're doing something mundane, listen to your music, have your fantasy, have your getaway, have your escape.
Absolutely. Play your sound bowls. Play your sound bowls. Anyways, this was so much fun. Connie
Yes.
Jo, I love doing this series. We're so
Me
good
too.
together. We're so good together.
Yes.
It's
This has
so
been fun.
fun to astro babble with you. And I love it. It's just
Me
great.
too.
So we'll do the ninth house next, right?
Absolutely.
And we didn't get to talk about the planets because this video is so massively long. But if you guys want us to do a second series on the planets through the houses, leave a comment below and let us know. And if we get enough people that want us to do that, maybe we'll consider that next.
Yeah, sounds great. It was fun.
It was so wonderful. Okay, from my house here in Seattle and
From here in Florida.
we will see you next time. We hope you're wonderful.
Bye, everybody.